So as we're getting to the end of these and we're finishing these, let's look at a few that are finished and look at some of the things that they're doing well and some of the things that maybe some of us haven't thought about. So here we have the shadow. Notice how this shadow is kind of fading off. It has some soft edges. The way you create that is by taking your shadow color. This one is a blue. Let's see, maybe I think it's going to be this blue here. And then you're just going to overlap. So I'm going to bring some of this blue over here onto my background. So let's zoom in and look at that. So I'm bringing this blue over here on this background. Also, as your shadow gets softer, you might not use the dark blue. You might come in with a softer blue and bring it also on top of your shadow like this.
Thank you.
Q-tip and your finger don't really make a difference, either one. But I want to have some of this darkness come onto this background, like this. The key is that it's subtle and that it's soft. I'm creating these small little circle strokes here, and I'm blending it in, not coming in too heavy with the artwork. Then I'm going to come up and down just a little bit to kind of smooth that out. Okay, that's how I'm creating this soft, subtle haze around the shadow. All right, now let's look at some people have different colors in their shadow because it's reflecting off of their can and into their shadow. One of the things we want to make sure that we're keeping is keeping it, our shadow comes straight across here and then straight up. Some of you, your shadows are coming like this and then they're curving up. When the shadow's hitting the wall, it comes straight across, it hits the wall, then it goes straight up. But here I see that there's these very strong changes from blue to this orange-brown color that's reflecting off this wall. That's the correct color you're seeing in your artwork. And when you see a color in your photograph, you do want to add it into the actual piece. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this blue here and I'm going to pull it back on top of this secondary color, creating a transition. I want to have layers. I want to pull this color on top of this blue, and I want to pull this blue on top of this orange, creating a subtle change. As it gets further away from the blue side, I'm going to get softer and softer with less and less. And then as it gets closer to this blue side, I'm going to add more soft layers, building on top of it. Like this. As it gets closer to the can, you're probably going to have a shadow underneath the can that gets stronger. That looks like this. Make sure to check your photo for that. Make sure you check your photo for where it's hazy and where it's fading off. But I can really tell right here that these two colors where they're split, I need to create a transition color, a transition line. And to do that, I can come back in with this Q-tip or my finger again, blending that out. All right, then when we're transitioning a background, if we want to have a different color in the background, make sure that you're using small, tiny little strokes. We're not making big streaks. When you're making big streaks that are going across, those are hard to get rid of. What I want to do instead is I want to make tiny little circles. All right, something else that people are messing up on is that they're just creating their shadows black. Don't make your shadow just black. It's going to be kind of boring. We need to add some color into it. Look at your actual photograph. We can add in some blues. And if you want it to be darker, instead of adding black, add some red. It's going to be a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to take my darkest red. I'm going to add that in where my darkest shadow part is, but I don't want it to just be flat black. This person did do a great job of keeping the shape of the bottle in the shadow. and I want to see that as well, but I really want to look at my photo and see where the darkest part of my shadows are and make sure that there's some interest in the shadow as well. I don't want it to just be completely blue. I don't want it to be just completely black. I want to create some color within it. Nice to see some transitions in the background as well. Maybe I take a darker green or a muted green, and I want to create around this highlight side a darker color. But don't just go around the can. Don't just go around the can. I want you to also let it fade off and make sure that it looks like a light is hitting it. The way that I make it fade off is by, let me zoom in, is by getting bigger and lighter strokes. So I'm putting it on its side. I'm getting very, very light. I'll come back on top of this with the original light green, but where I want it to be darker, I'll add more layers. All right, the last few things to look at before you call it done, if you think you're done. A lot of us have messed up the rims of our drink, and we need to come back in and bring the interest back in. So where the highlight's hitting, press in a strong white. Like press down hard and allow it to actually shine. Make sure that it looks like it's round. If it has some darker values in here, then make sure to add those darker values in there, especially in between the cap. The cap also probably has a highlight on it. Make sure to add that in. If it has color hitting it, probably reflecting off of its ground or the wall, I could pull some color into that highlight. Like you see here, maybe I have a little bit of that color from that highlight here. Last piece of advice here, whatever color's on your back wall or on your floor, it's probably reflecting up onto your can. So where your highlights are on your can, I want to add in some of that color from the floor into my can. And then I want to make sure that my can looks round, so I'll make sure to pull it in a round direction, not up and down. But I'm going to blend that in, allowing that reflection to look like it's actually on top of this can. It probably has a little bounce reflection down here, and then it probably has some shadow on either side of that bounce reflection. So look at your photo. You don't have to know the way that light works. You just have to look at your photo and draw what you see that the camera has taken a photo to show you. So just trust it. Look at it, make sure that it looks right, pull in some of those colors. Pull in the highlights, the shadows. Clean up your lines.
Aw.
Clean up around your letters. Make it look nice.